the lesson. So now I'm sharing my screen, made sure that the recording is recording, and let me know if you guys can see the screen successfully. Screen starting to share. Can you all see it okay? Yeah, great. Yanni, thanks. Crystal, thanks. Yes, those emojis really do help when you respond with them, at least in the class. And feel free to ask any questions, of course, towards the end of the lesson if you have any clarifications. I am going to run through some things that I think you may have questions to, so I'll be running through them as well. Let's start over with the classroom. Why don't we start with that first? Okay, so on the Google Classroom, on the classwork section, it's very important, if you already haven't been doing this, that you go over everything that's being posted on Google Classroom. So starting with the assignments, we had about 40 people post that in. So the ones that actually did it, and then we had to return the ones that turned it in. So 40 people we can say, but then I think only 6 people were actually the ones that turned in the assignment. So it's really important that you make sure that when you do an assignment, you turn it in, you click hand in, so it's actually handed in. Regarding lesson 2 assignment, so lesson 1 assignment was on Google Forms. Lesson 2 assignment was done on an HTML file. So all you had to do, if you didn't know this already, was when you click the file, it's going to look pretty odd. So if you open it in a new tab, of course, then you'd have to download the file. And once you do download it, then you can open it on your computer system. I'm just saying for those who didn't know this, and also for reference, because I think someone was asking this question. So once you open up the file, obviously the quiz starts, and then you can start doing your quiz easy without any problems. Now, today, I'm hoping that we are going to explore Google AI Studio. I just want to do a little quick test. So I'm going to say something, okay? You might hear me talking to Gemini, but I want to do a quick test because this will relate to what we're doing right now in our project. And I'll talk about it probably, if it's not today, then that will be in our 4th session. Hi, Gemini, can you hear me? Hello?
Hello there. How can I help you today?
Can you hear me okay?
Yes, I can hear you perfectly. Is everything all right with your connection?
Yes. Okay. I'm going to share my screen and I have a class of students. I just want to test if you can see my screen, okay? I'm going to share it. All right.
I understand you're about to share your screen. Go ahead and do that, and I'll let you know when it pops up.
Okay. I'm
I see
sharing.
your...
Can you see my screen? Sharing right now.
Yes, I can see it now. It's showing the Google AI Studio Playground. Is there anything specific you'd like to discuss or demonstrate?
Yes. Okay. So you guys just see what I'll say. Okay. I want you to see something on my screen, and I want you to tell me, what do you think about this interface? What do you think about this user interface?
That's a very vibrant interface for MBOA FLIX. The layout is visually structured. I'm just a language model and can't help with that.
Okay, but can you give me some opinion on the design? Do you think I should add anything to it?
I can definitely offer some thoughts. The layout looks very clean and organized, with clear categories and engaging pictures. The MBOA FLIX logo is prominent, which is great for branding. Depending on what you want the user to do first, you might consider making a key call to action button, like explore categories or start watching, stand out even more. Overall, it seems very well structured. Is there a particular goal you have in mind for the design?
No, thank you for now. I'm going to end you for now.
Understood. You're ending the sharing now. Let me know if you need anything else or want to discuss anything further later.
Sure.
Bye for now.
Bye. Take care. All right. So I guess you guys have seen like a little demonstration. I'm going to go back to this MBOA FLIX. I just wanted to do this for you guys so you can see when we get to the stage where, you know, we've done the whole like login and we are now in the design of the main screens and you want some ideas. Gemini is free and available on Google AI Studio. I'll show you guys how you can get there. You can talk to it and ask it to look at your app, what you have, and tell you how you can make it better. And then there are other things that we're also going to do. We're going to use Claude Code to take it to another level so you can see a high elite level of software development when you finish your own customization. So I just wanted you guys to see that little demonstration. So you can start playing around with Google Gemini. If you guys don't already know where to find it, if you go to Google AI Studio, just go to the playground. And once you go to the playground, you will go to, okay, right now it's not showing, but because I need to unlock something. But you go to where it says live. I'll show you guys in another account, possibly today or maybe later on. You just have to be careful though, because it is kind of limited. So you just need an API key for it. Or if you have multiple multiple Gmail accounts, or at least 2 or 3, then you can be very precautious of how you use it. So you use it exactly when you need it. And if you use the credits up, it's fine. You've already gotten the information you need. So just keep in mind, but it's in Playground and it's called Live Stream. It's on Google AI Studio. Okay, guys, let's get started with what we have to do. So as I was talking about Google Classroom, just to wrap that up, going back here, we have the third lesson is going to be something a little bit more challenging. In the third, not the lesson, the homework, the assignment. The assignment will be that you guys have to finish setting up your login. So I'm hoping we do that today, and then I'll tell you what I mean by that. Basically, you're going to do the authentication for the login once you see how we do the user authentication for the sign up, because it's a similar logic, but with a slight change. So that's why it's going to be a little bit challenging. I hope you've been building Mobile Flix up until where we are, because at the end, by the 5th session, you will need to have it ready for you to submit it at a certain date that will tell you. We'll give you the time to sort of polish it, finish it off, and submit it. So it's not exactly on lesson 5 that you need to submit it. Now on lesson 6, we have a special guest hopefully coming in. As I told you guys, she has requested that she would come in an hour earlier, Miss Yadira Caro. So I did say that I'll check in with you guys, because this lesson session, I'm also planning on making it sort of a 2-hour break in session, because we have a very important thing that you guys have to know, which is to create content for what you've developed. Because if you want to market it, you want to sell MBOA FLIX, or you want to use it as you're starting to be selling your apps, then you need to know how to create content to be able to sell on these place stores that we'll be talking about. So we probably need like lesson 6 for that. So that's why I'm thinking of that lesson. We're trying to organize that. We'll let you know how that's going. But usually lesson 6 is like the finalization and like sort of how you can move forward. So now I'm going to go into our own tasks for today. So what did we do last time? Basically, what we've done is once you click this, you go over to your login screen, your sign up screen, and that just takes you where you need to go, right? So that's from what I remembered last time. Okay, so going back to the main call, let's just get back here. We have the clothing styling. When you click on the clothing styling part, which is basically, I guess it would be here, then you'd click OK, then it would switch you over to this section. And I showed you guys how we can animate it, right? So I think I showed that part, or maybe not. I'll review it. We did get the username in place and the password text box in place. All we need is the button right now, and we need a command. So once we click the button, something's going to happen. What will happen is we now need to send it to the backend so we can store the user, assuming that the user has not registered before. So we kind of maintain what we call data integrity. So what we'll do is go back to our code right here, go back over here. I'm going to zoom in so that you can see what I'm coding now. And I'll zoom in around here. So look at my lines. So this part. Now let's insert our button. So insert login button. So at this stage, you know how to place buttons, how to place things at least. Now don't go with what the AI is suggesting for you on Replit. You got to type in your codes yourself. And sometimes what it suggests is not exactly what we're doing. So I'm going to come out of this stuff. It's a little bit annoying sometimes, but yeah, that's just the way Replit works. They have this AI stuff that's kind of suggesting stuff whenever you need to. So as you guys can see, if you didn't see what I did, I just created a variable for the button, called it login button, and I'm using the button widget function to insert button. Now there are many ways you can insert buttons. There's actually something called a custom Tkinter. Custom Tkinter is another type of Tkinter that I want you guys to get introduced to that really customizes your interface so well. So you can have like a shadow over when you take your mouse on your button, button, a certain color appears. You can make things animated, widgets sort of move, all that kind of stuff. It's really interesting, but it's like another thing, and I don't want us to waste time on that. So I'll probably give you links on how you can learn more about it. So what do you want your button? Where's your button gonna go? Screen 2. Screen 2 is the main screen, don't forget. It is the main screen that we're currently on, the child screen. So your button going there, what is the text that's going to be on your button? For now, oops, not login. I made a mistake, by the way, guys. I said login, it's actually sign up. It's not login, it's sign up. We have to sign up first before logging in. So sign up button, sign up. This was what's happening. Then afterwards, is very important is the command. Command means that when the button is clicked, what's going to happen? Well, you could use something called lambda, and lambda is a keyword. I think you saw the AI suggest it for me. So it's this lambda. So lambda is a keyword, and it's basically there whenever you want to do multiple things at the same time. For example, you want to close a window, and then you want to open another window, and then you want to open another window after that window. So if you have multiple things that you want to happen at once, then lambda is quite useful for that. In this case, I'm not going to use lambda. I'm just going to use something very simple, and I'm just going to say, just a simple way of doing this. Authenticate, sign up. Sorry about that. Authenticate, sign up. So I'm going to get a red line if you're looking, and that's because I don't have the command. The compiler that's actually running this program does not understand what authenticate, sign up means. I'm saying command means once they click on the button, something is happening. That's the command. And the authenticate, sign up has to be a function. So you have two options. Do you want to put the function here? So insert authenticate, sign up function. Do you want to put it here? Or do you want to put it outside? Like go outside of this function, outside on top, somewhere here. So for me, I think it makes sense to put it here. So you just have to put the function before you call the button, or before you insert the button, if that makes sense. So I'm going to put authenticate here, sign up. And what I'm going to do for now is really nothing. I'll just print a message so you guys can see, or maybe not print, maybe just pop up a message. So I'll call this one pop up. And it's just going to tell us if it's actually working. Remember that we are in Tkinter. So for doing a pop-up message, it has to be what we've done here before. Remember the one that says, did we do it already? Okay, I don't think we've done it, but it's going to be display a window. So it's like message box. It actually works like this. So I made a slight mistake here. So it's going to be message box. You can call it whatever you want, but this is like the default. It's like a pop-up window, just like we had in Turtle, but this time it's Tkinter, so it's different. So we say show info. There are many kind of message boxes we have in Tkinter that I'm going to explore some of them with you today. There's show info, show error, show warning. There are all kinds. This is info, meaning show information. So information, you have to give your window a name. So for this one, I'm just going to say sign up successful. Oops, sign up successful. That this will show when the person has successfully signed up. And then that's the name of the box. Then the name of the actual message, it would be you have signed up successfully. So you notice that once I created this one, the red line has gone. The error is no longer there because the computer now understands that you're saying when they click the button, this should happen. This is only happening for now. What actually is going to happen is we need to take what they've entered as their username, which is here. We need to take what they've entered as their password, which is here. Then we need to check and see if it exists in our database. That means in the backend. If it does exist, because they're signing up, it shouldn't be allowed because it's existing. Somebody already has that username or password, or both of them. If you want to say that, okay, you have to sign people up who have completely different username, completely different password, that what is already existing in the database. So you can either do that, or you can say the username must be completely different, but the password is okay, which in most cases, both username and password have to be different. So if we find that in our database at this stage, then we're not going to allow this person to sign up because we're going to tell them it already exists. You need to use something different. But if they are logging in, I hope you guys are understanding the logic. If it is a login, in that case, then you're going to say, okay, well, login means that it exists. That's good. So they're logging in. It exists. Then they can have access. But if it does not exist when they're logging in, then they can't have access, which is why you should think about this really well when you're coding yours. Think about it like a smart person. Do you think you want to put this here? Because you might actually use the same function for login, because login is doing the same thing. The only difference with login is if it exists, it's good. But with sign up, it's not good. So, think about that. I'll leave you to think about that. That's actually a good thing for you to think. Okay, so the next thing we'll do is put some more stuff in here. Fonts. You guys remember fonts, right? Do you guys explore more about fonts? I hope you do, because there's so many kind of fonts. So the font I'm going to use for this one maybe is Helvetica. And I probably need to take this stuff down here somewhere to the side. So Helvetica font, and then I'll do like 16, like for the fonts, like the text that's on the button is what we mean by font. The boldness, I'll keep it bold. You can make this, if you want, italic. There are different type of settings. You can also make it underline. It really depends, or regular. So if you say bold, then it's going to be bold. The next thing we want to do is the BG color. So you can actually go down, by the way. So don't think that you can't go down if your line is too long. You just hit enter. So you put a comma and then you hit enter. So now the BG color, what do you want your background color to be? I'm going to pick the same thing I had here. Same thing. Maybe the same thing, no change. You might want to do something different if you prefer. Once you're done, that's it. Close your parentheses, only one. Hit enter, and then now you need to place your button, just like what we did for the username and the password. So we place, at this point, be smart when you're placing stuff, because you want to see how you placed your password, your like text box for the password. So do you want to place it in the same X, like on the same place underneath, or do you want to move it more a little bit inside? So what I'll do is I'll do something like maybe X could be this time, let's move it more to the right side. So I might go with 690, see how that looks like. The Y, definitely remember how the Y works. The further positive it is, the more down it's going. So if you have 350, let's go with what the AI is suggesting. 420. The width, I might keep the width the same, although I prefer to make a longer width. And then the height, I might just keep the height as well the same. So height would be, what did we do for our height last time? 35? Yeah, maybe 35. That might work. So it all depends on how you like it and how you see it. So now what we'll do is obviously test it, see if it works. And also, when we click on the button, we're expecting to see this message pop up now. So that's how we know this function is actually working. So what we'll do is go back here, stop this thing again. Let's zoom out a little bit. And then I will stop it. And this time I'm not going to run all this stuff. Okay, so I'm going to run only one. There's actually a way where you can avoid always doing this. Just go and run one thing. So I'll just run the turtle program, which is really what we want. And then go back to the VNC. And then you're here. So you notice that on the console, you don't have all that stuff running anymore. Just one thing is fine. So click here again, and then click OK again, and then it's here. So look at where my sign up. I don't think it looks great because it's too small. It's supposed to be here. So it should probably fit in here. That means the height might be a little bit more taller, and it needs to go more to the left side. So that means that X needs to be less positive. And also the text maybe needs to be a bit bigger, doesn't look so big. And what else? If we click on the button, let's see if it's actually working. So remember what we said is when you click on it, it's supposed to say something. So I think I'm even stuck a little. Let me try running that again. Yeah, my screen's stuck, by the way. Let me stop and rerun this one more time. So I'll run it again. And then go back one more time. I think I've played that. Oh, forgot to put the run. Give me a moment, guys. My Replit is kind of hooked. Let me refresh. Okay, the system's starting up. Is it my Replit or is it my network? I think my network is fine. You guys can still hear me okay, right? Yeah? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so then it's my Replit. I need to wait. The system is starting up according to what it's doing. So let's see. If not, I'll just switch it over to, okay, I think it's started up. I don't know. Seems like it started up already. So let's go to VNC. All right, seems like it's loading. Let's click this stuff again. Okay, you see it's working. It says you've successfully signed up. So it works. You notice whenever I click it, it says that. So it's working, but it's just we need to adjust a couple of things. However, this is not what we call the authentication. We got to authenticate this. So what we'll do is let me go back to the code. Let me adjust the button. The height is too small. So maybe I'm going to go a little bit, big with this one. I'll try 65. Take it more towards the left side. So I'll go 450 so I don't keep changing things. And then I need to make it probably the writing a bit bigger. So the font size, which was, where was the font size again? 16. I probably will make it 20. And then try it again. So I'll not spend too much time on this. I'll just do it like once and then I'll allow you guys to do it. You would understand. I just want to show you the actual setting. I'll do it only one time. If it doesn't go in the actual place, I can always adjust it later on. The most important thing is to show you guys the authentication. So now I'm doing this. Oh, it looks way better. It's looking more better, but it's going out place. So let me just do a quick fix. So that means I can make it 530. And the way I see it, I think the size looks okay. However, I could increase the thickness a little bit. So maybe make it 75 or 72. Okay, oops, 72, not 62. This would be my last fix, and then I would go into the authentication part. So you would understand, how you can fix this. All right, going back here, guys, putting this again, clicking here, okay, and then, it's out of place, but you understand. We can do this later on, so we don't waste time. It just needs to come a little bit more into here. So that means I need to do a drastic thing where I just make it more to the right side again. So something like 640. But I'll leave it for now, so we'll test it later on. So anyways, this is set up. It's working to show this, right? Even though this is not yet in place, I'm going to place it, by the way, but I don't want to spend time doing that now. The idea is let us make sure that we can actually sign up here. So what we'll do is come back to this section. So let's come back here. And then I'm going to zoom in my code because this part is really important to focus on. So focus on this, okay? First of all, I don't need this message anymore. So I'll just hashtag or keep it for now if you want. When you're done, you can hashtag it, meaning you don't need it anymore. The next thing I'll do is I want to global two things. I don't think we've ever used the word global, although I'm not sure. Globaling two variables. Do you see what I'm doing? Globaling two variables. One variable is called get username. The other variable is called get password. Why am I doing this? Well, because I am going to be using these variables to store the username and to store the password that the user is entering. So if you have some orange lines, because the computer doesn't know what you're doing, and the reason I'm globaling it is because if you don't global variables in functions, then the compiler will not understand where you're getting them from. So I'm going to go to the very top. Look where I'm going, to the very beginning, right? At the beginning, I'm going to create these variables. I'm going to initialize them, declare and initialize, set them to nothing. See what I did? Create them. I created get username. Where am I? I'm at the top, way at the top. So I created username. I'm going to create password. Why am I doing this? Because I need to store the username and the password that anyone's going to enter. So I need to have these variables. Okay, so maybe what I'll do is to give some space so you don't get confused. Okay, these are some things that I just created now. So this one gets the username that the user enters. And this one, what does it do, guys? It gets the password that the user enters. Okay, these two things. Now, moving on to the next thing. Now that I've globaled it, did you know that there is no longer, you notice there's no longer any orange lines or anything like that, right? So nothing is showing. Now, moving on to the next part. We need to be able to get the username and the password. How do we get it? Because this is a username entry box. Entry means when they type, it's going to store things they're typing in. So the way you're going to get it when you're dealing with Turtle is like this. You're going to use this variable that you've already globaled. You can call this variable anything, by the way. It doesn't have to be called get username. It can be called whatever. Now, make sure you're careful enough to know what is the name of your text box that you want to get something from. It can be any kind of text box. If you ever want to get text from your text box, just get the name. So my text box is called username underscore text box, right? This is like what I called mine. You got to see what you called yours. Now, we're going to use this keyword called .get. .get means that you're getting what the user's entering. So this gets the username entered, whoever enters. We don't know. Anybody can enter stuff. So the next thing is we do the same thing for password. You notice that I did that really fast because I used the AI to go fast on this one. So we've gotten the username, we've gotten the password. So maybe we should try this and so that you can see how this is happening. I'm going to do this for you guys. I'm going to say, let's do this. Let's say pop-up message 2. This is not necessary, by the way. I just want to show you guys how this would work. Will be something like you entered this username, okay, like that. Did you see what I did real quick? I did a pop-up message 2 thingy. I said, you entered this username, and I'm using what we call a concatenation sign. Concatenation means that when you're printing a string, this is a string. Anything in quotation marks is called a string in programming. And you want to call a variable afterwards, then if it is like in a variable, because this is a variable, right? I just created something. And this is just because I want to show you what's happening. It's not necessary. We don't need to do this here. But this variable, what it's doing is that it's storing the username that the user is going to enter. So because that's what we called it, right? We're getting it. And then it's going to show also the password. So anytime anybody enters anything, it will tell them that you entered this username and you entered this password. And I'm putting the plus sign because this is a variable. It cannot go in quotation marks. It's a storage location on the computer. So this is a variable, so it's separated by plus signs. You notice there's 2 plus signs on 2 ends. Then I continued another statement with quotation marks. Then I also wanted to put the other variable. Now, if you're wondering why I don't have a plus sign here, it's because I'm not putting anything after this. This is the end. This is the end of my message. So now when I come back here and I want to show a pop-up message, like, you know, the message dialog box, do you remember that? So we got the message box dot show info. Do you remember? And I told you there's many ways we can show things. What do you want to call the box that's going to tell them? You entered this username, you entered this password. Let's just call it testing for now because we really don't need it, to be honest. This is just for me to show you. Now I'm going to put the name of my variable, which is this one, this variable, because that's what I wanted to show. That's what I want the pop-up box to show. Usually, remember in Tkinter, when you create a pop-up box, just like what we did here that we commented out, let me show you guys. Remember the one that we commented? This one, the first one, right? So when we created this pop-up box, what happened is we first of all put the name of the box. This is just how you do it. Put it in quotation marks, and then you put your message, right? What you want to tell them. But here you notice that when I'm putting this pop-up, the same box, I'm putting again the name of the box, but this time I'm putting a variable because the variable is storing the message in the way I want to tell them, whatever I want to tell them. And this time I have variables also. I'm getting username, I'm getting password. Now let's test it out and let's see how this works. This is actually ready for testing. So what is going to happen is when I type a username and I type a password and I click in the sign up button, then it's going to pop up and said, you entered this username, you entered this password. So let's see if it works. And if it works, then you've understood how to get things from your box. So let's go back here, come to your console. Stop the console again. Remember, we have that stopping thing, clear, and you realize the easiest way is just run your turtle. So run that. You don't need to run anything on main. So here, click on this again, click that again. Now look, ooh, that actually was a good adjustment that I did before. So I'm going to write my name, Alicia, right? Password, Alicia2, sign up. You see what it tells me? You entered Alicia and your password is Alicia2. So that's how you get username and password from your text entry. So we don't really need this again, guys, by the way. Yes, thanks for the thumbs up if you are understanding and if it's making sense to you. And of course, if you have any questions, feel free to let me know as well. Okay, feel free to let me know. Okay, so basically what we're doing right now is we're going to start creating our file. So we are done with understanding the basics. Like I said, we don't really need this. So I'm just going to comment it out for now, okay? We don't need these lines. That's not what we need. Perhaps I'll just take it out for now, put it somewhere way at the bottom, okay, way here. We don't need that so that you don't get confused with too many comments. Now I want to show you what we actually need. So what do we need? We need to create a file, a JSON file. Okay, so pay attention because this part is important. This is our database, creating a JSON file. Now, usually I would like to teach you guys, of course, how to have an actual SQLite database. Let's say this is an alternative to SQLite. What is SQLite? Well, it's the backend. It's the database. It's what stores information, what everybody stores in any place. So instead of using SQLite for this MBOA FLIX, we're using JSON database. And we're also going to use text files. So I decided to also teach you guys text files. The only thing that's left for you to know is how to use SQLite and how to understand SQL. SQL means structured query language, which is what you use to query database. So if you're interested in learning how to be a database management system person or analyst, it means that your main focus will be always on the back end. So the first thing we'll do is create a database file. So I'm going to call this one database file equals, so it could be called really anything. You could give your database anything. I'm just going to call it very simple, called users.json. You must put the extension .json because it indicates that it is a JSON file and it's storing the database in the back end. So the next thing you want to do now is to create another function that will load the data, because the database, let me see if I can show you guys an example. This is a sample program I can show you. You see there is something called users here too. You see that? Do you see all this stuff? This is all the things that go into the database backend, and it never disappears. Even if the program is stopped, it's always going to be there. This is kind of how our database is going to be. We're going to have something like this. So we are creating that. Now users, then we create another function called load data. And this function, or you can call it load data, really it doesn't matter what you call this, load database. Let's just call it load database. The first thing we want to do is we want to check if the database path exists. Okay, so that means what you've created now, this users.json, is it existing? You can either create it yourself, like go to the side and create it, and I'll show you that, or you can allow this program, your compiler, to create it for you by what you've just done here, and then you load the information from it, all the data from it. You're going to load it into a list, and anytime a person enters their username and password, all you're going to do is check if that username and password exists in that database. And if it does, if they're signing up, it's not going to work because they need to put something completely unique. You have to maintain something called the database integrity primary key. So for now, we're just going to go saying if not os dot path and then dot exists. So what this means, you're saying if it exists, like, you know, if it's present, if the database is existing. So I'm going to put some comments here just to explain what's going on. So if the database file does not exist, that's why I said if not, it's a Boolean. If not exists, it's like broken English sort of. Then return blank, which means it returns an empty dictionary. Now, I don't know if you guys are familiar with dictionaries, but I think you are. If you looked at what I showed you here, this definitely is a dictionary, right? You know that. This is a dictionary in Python, right? Because you have the key and then you have the value. So this is how dictionaries look like. It's like a normal language dictionary. You have the word and you have the definition. Same thing here. So that's why we're saying that if it does not exist, then it returns empty because there's nothing to read from the database. It's going to be empty. However, if it does exist, then we're going to open the database. So we're going to do with open. This is how you do it. Database file, the name of your database. Don't spell anything wrong because then you're going to get an error. So database file, and then comma, and you're going to pass an R command. R command means that you're going to read the database as something. So, oh, I made a mistake on database file. You notice that I'm still having red lines. There it is. So read it as what? You can read it as a file. This is just the way you have to write it. If your file does not exist, it will return nothing, no dictionary. However, if it does exist, and how does it know the however part? Because you're putting this after your if. You're not putting it inside. It's not like this, no? It's not doing that. It's outside. So you're saying if this is not true, that means if it does exist, then I want you to open my database and I want you to read it. That's what the R means, read. And then we have W, which means write, and we have RT, which means read and write. For now, we're trying to read. Then we need to put a try catch block or try and except block. Whenever you're dealing with files, okay, just keep this in mind in any programming language, because you have to go to somewhere else, like to another place, like backend, and you have to check a file and you have to open and read everything from there. You have to always have what we call a try and accept. Try and accept means that you're going to try code, and then if there's any error, you're going to catch it. I think I'll show you an example in a very simple way. Give me a few minutes and I'll show you. For now, let's just understand that this is going to be a try. Try means run this code, and except means if there's any exception. Exception means errors. I want you to tell me what it is. Maybe that the database is corrupted. Maybe there's no file inside it. It's existing, but it's blank. Anything could happen, so we don't know. So if there's anything, return JSON.load and then file, right? Like this. And then finally, you know why I'm saying this, right? JSON.load means that if it's existing, we're trying to load the file. And where did I get the name file from here? Because I said we are opening this database and reading everything from it and storing it as a file. So we're trying to load that file that we just read. So loading means get everything shown so we can start to check if comparing what the user is entering if it exists. So if you want to understand what this line is doing, this just loads the JSON file. And when we talk about the JSON file, we're talking about the database, which is also known as your backend. Okay, so that's kind of what it is. Okay, final touches on this one. The last part for this part, not the whole thing. We put the except. Except means that if there's any kind of errors that can happen. So this is dealing with the JSON. And the type of error that we call it is a JSON decode error. It means that if there's any problem, it's going to tell us whatever the problem is. So it's just called decode, JSON decode error. Okay, so let's explain what that means. JSON decode error. What does it mean? It's a built-in exception. I like the definition the AI is given here. Built-in is a built-in exception in Python that is raised when a JSON string is not properly formatted. So that means like the file, that the text you're supposed to read, it's not readable. Maybe you're putting some sort of apostrophe or accent in your file and you can't read it for whatever reason. So if that's the problem, because when we say except, we say catch an exception, catch an error. So if that's what we're going for, we're saying that the type of error we want to catch is if something is not readable in the file. Okay, not that if the file is empty. We're not doing that yet. If the file has things that cannot be read, then it will return again a blank dictionary saying that there's an error. So it does this. It returns this, not that curly brace. So this means that it will return a blank again, an empty dictionary signifying that there is an error or an exception in the JSON file. So that's all. That's really what happens when it comes to checking to see and making sure that you don't have any sort of wrong file that you're trying to read, but it's actually reading properly. So this is just the first part, loading information from the JSON file, all the names, the usernames, and all the passwords that already exist there. You're loading all of that, and you're trying to compare with what the user already has. Okay, so this is what happens. Now, the next thing we're going to do, I don't know if this made sense, but I did tell you guys I wanted to teach you a little bit about try and accept. So I don't know if you know this website, but I would like to recommend this website to you. It's a good website for learning how to code very well. It's called W3 Schools. Maybe you already know it. W3 Schools is quite a good place where you go to learn code. Although we have AI now, so you can actually learn from AI. But why I like this one particularly, which I think some of you already know, is because it has very good ways that you can try yourself. So if you click try yourself, you see what happens. It actually shows you what this is and how it runs. So for example, I'll go back to what I was trying to explain to you guys, exception handling. This is what we call it. So the try and accept. Try means you're saying try something, and then accept means print if there's an error. However, I want to show you more type of try and accepts. They could be different type. I'm not going to go into them right now, but it could be any kind of error. You see this one? Name error. What was ours called? Ours was called the decode error. That was something that was not being recognizable. So I'm just showing you, but you can go later on and learn more about this from this website. It's really good. And you can click try yourself and you can learn how it works. Okay, go back to what we were doing. Let's get back here. So let's see, everything all set up. Now we're going to start saving data in this file. So def save data. Okay, so save data, what does this mean? Well, data means the data that we're actually trying to save. That means the information that we're trying to save. That means from the user, right? Because in the beginning, we tried to load data. Now we're trying to save the data. So to save data from the database, the one that we called, you can really put anything you want here, guys. I think it makes sense to put data, not database, because that's what we're trying to save. So that's an argument. Now come back here and then we continue with open. So this part is now saving information successfully to what? To the JSON file. That's what this is going to be. The JSON database, which is the JSON file. So now we're going to open up the file again. Remember what we're opening. What are we opening now? The database file. But this time we're passing the write command. Do you notice it? Before we pass the read command, we're trying to read the file. Now we're passing the write command. We're trying to write to the file. That's what's happening. So we're writing to the file, and you can say as what? You can say as file2, whatever you want to call it. I'm just still going to call it as file. Same thing. So I'm opening this file and I'm trying to write to the file. So now the next thing we want to do is put a JSON dump. And I'll explain what this one does. Dumping means you're putting things in the JSON file, like in the database. It's just the name that we use is called dump, the keyword. So dumping means that you're trying to put stuff in your JSON. Sorry about that, guys. I mistakenly clicked my AI. I'm going to come out of there. So this is where I am right now, okay, from here. So now what are we trying to dump here? We're trying to dump the data, the one that we're going to receive from the user, and I'll explain that a little bit later on. And then we're also trying to pass the file, like to the file, because that's what we're dumping in here, to this file. So file, and then we're indenting for. So what does this line do? Indent for is used to format the database. So when you say indent for, it just means that you're trying to indicate that JSON file is acting as a database backend. It's just another keyword again. So let's understand what this line is doing. Dump means taking the data. What is the data? That means the username and the password that they enter, right? We're taking that after we have confirmed that this database, which is the JSON file, exists. After we confirm it exists. Now, the next thing the computer will do is say, okay, now I'm ready to start saving things inside of it. So it will take this data, and you're going to see how we're going to relate this data to what we're getting from them. So if you're confused right now and saying, but what is the data? Isn't it supposed to be taking this one and this one? Yes, we're going to put them into one string and call it data. And that's what we're going to be taking, and we're going to be putting in our JSON file, which is our database, using this command called indent for, which is a keyword or command to just make the compiler, which runs your code, understand that this is a database. Okay, so that's really what's happening. Okay, so now the part of getting stuff into our JSON file. So this is the saving part. That's it. That's all you have to do. That's done. Now we're going to do another function. And this one's going to now be the part where we do the signing up. So I'll call it successful sign up, right? Okay, maybe not successful sign up because it might be unsuccessful. Let's just call it user sign up. Like this, okay? So I'm calling another function. Now in this function, I will global again, username. I will global again, password. Oh, actually, we didn't call it username. We called it, do you remember the variable that I created? Get username, get password, those variables, because now we're going to take these variables and we're going to be saving them into this file. So that's why I'm globaling, so that the compiler understands where I'm getting it from. Okay, another thing we'll do is we can load the database. Yeah, we can do that. We can do that a little bit later on. Let's leave that for now. For now, what we'll do is we'll say if get username is none, or get, and I'll explain what this is doing, as I think you can already see from the message that's popping up what it's going to do, is none. Then what happens is that we show this. What does this mean? It means that if they enter, like, you know, you're telling them put username, put password, right? If they don't enter username and they don't enter password, we said either, we didn't say and. Did you notice I use or? Or means if either one of these two are blank. They're supposed to type in the username and supposed to type in the password in the sign up page, and they did not. Then this message will happen. It will tell them that you need to enter a username and password. You cannot leave it blank. You can put whatever you want here. And did you notice a difference? This time I'm using a show error box. I'm not using a show info box. So you're going to notice this time that this box is going to pop up and it's going to be like a red error when we test it, like a red warning sign on the box, because it means it's an error. So they can't leave the username or password blank. If not, how can we save blank data? We need to take information to check. So this is what we call the validation part. Okay, so that's the validation section. So the next part now is we're going to come down here and we're going to do the next thing, which is going to be users. Did we call ours users? Yes, we call the name of our JSON file users equal load database. So I'll explain what this is, what's happening. Let me put a comment here. So this one checks to make sure that the user, okay, guys, enters their username and password. Let's take it to the side. So enters the username and password. That's what we're doing here, okay? So this line, if you notice that I put this line and I put it exactly underneath the if statement, what is it doing? Well, it's loading the database because that's the function that we have. We're trying to call this from the beginning. So we're starting it. After we've finished setting up 3 functions. 1, to check that the file exists. 2, to save the data. And 3, to get the information from the user and making sure that they're not blank. Now we're starting to load the database. That means we're starting to get this one to work, checking if the file exists. Now, after that, we're going to start the authentication part. So this is where we do authentication. Authentication starts here. So the authentication is very simple. If the username is existing in the database, then we're going to say, sorry, this already exists. Now, you can do this if get username in users, and you can put an and, by the way, okay? What does an and mean? As in, are you trying to say that you want to make sure if the username and the password exists in the database, then you want to say, oh, sorry, you can't have username and password existing. It really depends on what you want to do. Do you want to make it that only the username should not exist in the database? Or do you want it that both username and password shouldn't exist in the database? They should have something completely unique. So authentication starts here to make sure, okay, let's put an extra comment, to make sure that the username, both the username and password are unique. Okay, so this means that this command will not be what it is. I'm going to change the command. It will be something like this. If get username in users, so it starts the same, and you can say get password. Although it might be a good idea to do both searching, like, you know, separately, but you notice what I just did was I said, if the username and the password exist in the users, then it's going to say that username and password already exists, okay? And password already exists. However, I don't know if you've noticed, there was also another way to do this where we could use the index position. And I'll explain that a little bit later on. For now, let's just understand this one. I'll explain about the index, because if you want to know exactly this password for this username, they're together, they are stored at the same time. If they exist as together, as a pair, then you're saying, no, you need to enter a username and password that's different. So that's what I'm trying to say. Okay, so the next part is, we're going to do is come else here. So that's the first part, that if they exist, we don't allow it. However, else, if they don't exist, then what we're going to do is we're going to add the username and password to the database. Okay, so how we're going to do that is we're going to say username or users, sorry. And then in brackets, we're going to put get username. So we're going to get these because this is a dictionary. I hope you know that. So it's a dictionary equals to get password. So this is basically, what is this line doing? Adds the username and password to the dictionary. If you're wondering how it's doing that, well, here it's getting the username. That's why it's using it like a key, because that's what happens in the dictionary. We have a key. Did you see this? We have a key first, and then we have a value. So the key is our username, okay? And the value is the password. Now, it doesn't matter if the username and password is the same. The most important thing is that it shouldn't be already existing and someone else is trying to sign up with the same username and password. That's what we're trying to do. We're trying to avoid duplication. We don't want duplicated data. It should be one Paul, one this, one that. Everyone should be unique. So you can see there's so many in here already. So that's for a different example. So that's what's happening here, guys. I'm trying to say that if else meaning if they don't exist, then we can come here and do this part, add it to the dictionary, which goes into the database. Now, the next thing is we're going to save the data. You guys know where I'm getting this from, right? Now you understand. I'm calling the second function. What's the second function? It's this one. I'm saving data. I'm saving this information to the file. So that's why I'm using the keyword users, because that was the name of the JSON file that we created in the beginning. That was called users. So that's why I'm always using that same name. So the next thing I'll do is pop up a message box and say that, yes, it's now successfully saved. So show info. And then just say you have successfully signed up. So you guys know what this is at this stage. If you want to call the box successful sign up, you know, I don't know if you can put emojis here, but you might try it. Maybe put something funny here. So that's going to be on the box that they actually are signing up. And then this is going to be the message telling them you have successfully signed up. Okay, so this is what will happen. Now, finally, we're going to destroy a screen. So you can destroy if you want. Really, that all depends. And what I mean by destroy means like this screen, destroying it means that you want to clear it and you want to go and open something new. So for now, I can say that, I guess for us, what can we do? Yeah, we can destroy the screen. Let's destroy it. We might not want to destroy it later on. Let's just say we're closing the sign up. Once they sign up, we close it. However, it's not supposed to close because now they're supposed to go and log in. They sign up, they log in. One other thing you need to consider is, what about if this person already has an account, right? Because normally what happens that we're doing is once they come to MBOA FLIX, they click on any one of those things at the bottom that we're restricting that they can't see unless they're logged in. So once they click on it, remember how it works. It goes and opens up a sign up page, right? Immediately. Okay, what about if they don't? If they already have an account, should they still need to sign up? No, they can click log in and just go and log in. So we need to think about that. And that's something I forgot to think about when I was doing the button for the sign up. You probably need a space where you have maybe one button saying sign up, one saying login. So once they click login, it takes them to the login screen. Once they click sign up, then of course it means that they have to sign up. So that's something else that we need to modify. For now, I think that's pretty much it. What else do we need to do? I think that's all. The functions we've called. Oh, right. We need to call this function at the very end for it to actually work. So this function, that's all for like now, for putting in data. This is really what sign up does. So at the end, you call your function, authenticate sign up. Make sure you're calling this function on the same indented line where you actually defined it, because that's the function that contains everything about signing up, right? All the stuff. It's in there, like I'm talking from here to here. So you have to make sure that you call this function. Another thing that we have to make sure about is I noticed that our login, our sign up button is, let me see where the sign up button is. Yeah, so the sign up button is here. Okay, never mind, that's fine. So that's all we need to do. So this function is called on its own. It has nothing to do with the sign up button. I was just looking through. This is different. The sign up button is calling authenticate sign up. Actually, yeah, that's fine. I don't think we even need to call this, to be honest. Let me just put a hashtag here for now. We don't need to call it because we have this called already here. So this is calling up your sign up button. Give me one moment. Let me just verify something real quick. So we have the first one here, and then we've got, oh, this is the one that I'm supposed to call it, guys. My mistake, not here. This one. This function is what's not called. If you don't call it, it doesn't work. So that was what was missing. So this one is supposed to be called, and that's it. So now this means that this function will work. It's called so that the user can actually sign up. So make sure you call it on the same line. That's it for now. We've got to check it and see if it works. And if it doesn't, we need to come and debug and see whatever is wrong with it. But overall, this is the code you need whenever you are trying to create a JSON file. And I did wanted to show you guys that if you want to create your JSON file here, just click the little icon next to publish, okay? And then once you click this icon next to publish, you will find file tree, okay? And once you're on file tree, all you have to do is just go click on the three dots right here, click new file, and then you can create this users.json. Like this is what I mean. That. Okay, and then you can hit enter and create your file. See, when I just did that, you see what it did? It created me a JSON file. So I have something pretty much blank. Okay, so now let's try and see if everything is okay. So we go back to your console. We clear and stop pass runs. And I'm going to zoom out. Let's zoom out so that we can test it. We're testing it now. I'll go back over the code if there's anything that you still didn't really understand in this code block that I finished writing. But for now, we'll do a quick test. So once we're here, I think I forgot to click run turtle. And then come back to the VNC. Click this stuff again. And then here, so now I'll try signing up. So Alicia, and then let's put Alicia 123. Okay, you've signed up successfully. Okay, I click OK. Let's go back. Perfect. You see that? That's so good. So satisfying. However, we have to check if it's working. I did see someone's hand raised up. I will come to you and answer your question. However, we have to check if it works though. As in, you know, it's working. What I mean is like, if you try to sign up with the same person, are you going to be able to sign up again? And if you are, then that's a problem. If you're not, then it works successfully. So someone did raise their hands up. I will come over and see. Maybe I should wait and answer your question before I test it again. Go ahead, whoever raised their hands up, I'll answer your question and then I'll test it one more time. Someone raised their hands? Nobody? I thought someone raised their hands. Feel free to ask if you have any questions. No? Okay, guys, I'm back here again. You know why I'm back here, right? Because we have the users, it's stored my name and everything. I want to try to sign up with the same Alicia and again, Alicia 123. It's supposed to tell me that I shouldn't be able to do that, right? So let's do it again. Alicia, let's try again. I wrote that wrong. Alicia 123. Okay, so it says you sign up successfully. Let's see. However, this is not signing me up though. So I'm going to try, we're going to fix the error in a minute. But before we fix the error, I'm going to do this. Let's try signing up someone different and let's see if it saves the person. So I'll try comfort. Let's see. So you signed up successfully. Let's get back here. It's signing this up, right? So it's signing new stuff in. Okay, let's go back again and let's try signing up comfort again. And then if we still get that message saying, you know, that's an easy fix. If it still says you signed up successfully, even when it's, you know, it's existing, we're going to fix that. So comfort, this is comfort, by the way. Oh, I don't know what happened. It worked now. Maybe the first time I put something different, but I'll try it again. It says you can't. I'll click it again. It says you can't because it exists. So this means it's working, but we'll try it again for the third time. This is why you should be careful. And I think you know what I'll do. Let's go back here and let's take out this thing so you guys can see it properly. Let's go back and take out the show thing. We're not going to do show for now, okay? Take out show so that you can actually see when I am. I'll show you what I mean. Give me one moment. So you can actually see what I'm typing when I'm signing up, I mean. So let's stop it. Let's run it again. Let's try a different user. And then we'll try signing up again with the same person. You have to always test your program. Make sure it works really well so that you're sure and you're done with that part. Okay, so now I'm going to try something. Let me just make sure this is showing. Okay, you guys can see it's showing my password now. No more hiding. So let's go Steven. Steven is a new person. Steven. I don't know, Steven23 at whatever. Click sign up. It says, Steven, you've successfully signed up. Okay, let's go backend. Steven is signed up. Now let's come back and let's try signing up Steven again. So Steven and Steven, 23, was it 23 asterisks? Yes, it was 23 asterisks. So 23 and, sorry, exclamation. Oh, my bad. 20. Steven 23 at, right? That was what we had here. So it's supposed to not let me sign up. So let's click sign up. So yeah, so we have a problem. When we sign up, sometimes it will say it's signed up successfully, even though when you go back, it doesn't sign up the same Steven. Again, if you try it one more time, it probably will say no. So we have to fix it because it's not supposed to be doing that. So I'm trying it one more time so you can see before we fix. Steven 23 at. See, now it's still doing that same thing. So we've got to go back and check what's happening. So the first time we did it, let's come back here. So this is where we're having the problem. This part is not working. This part works fine. So according to this, let me see if we missed anything. We have if get username in users and get password in. Okay, I'm going to try something. Okay, and see if this works, and I'll explain to you why. Let's take this condition out like that. And I've just done only one condition here, okay, for now. And then let's take this one out and just say already exists. So like that. I didn't put the password thing, just for now, the username. So that's the only thing I've done. Other than that, I think that's all I wanted to do. Oh, and also, let's remove the return keyword for now. And then I'll come back and readjust it a little bit. So let's go back to the console. And let's stop this. Let's clear. Let's run. So I've just made a slight change, right? I just took out the password part, and I just want to see without the password when I'm doing just the user. So I'm going to try again. Try with the same thing, maybe comfort, and then try Steven, right? So comfort, try this username already exists. Okay, that's good. I didn't sign up. Let's go back and make sure. Didn't enter anything. Okay, now let's try Steven. Steve, you notice I'm in the same window. I haven't stopped and run anything. So I can still be in the same window. I will stop it and run it though, so you see the difference. So Steven, username already exists. Okay, no, it's not letting me sign up Steven. Okay, let's try signing up someone new. Let's go Alex. And let's do Alex. By the way, if I try to sign up Alex with this, it still wouldn't work because it's not supposed to work, actually. If you noticed. Why? Because Steven password, let's get back and you'll see. Yeah, this is not supposed to happen. Remember, well, now it's supposed to happen, but before it was not supposed to happen because we wanted to make it such that the password shouldn't be signed up if it exists. Like this shouldn't happen. And we're going to fix that right now because if this is happening, then we can have people with the same password, even though the username is different. And I'm going to sign up against somebody new, and you're going to see it's going to work now with the username. So this shouldn't be happening. So let me show you the difference, and then we'll fix it once and for all. So now come back here, right? Go back again, test. This time, I will sign up someone new. Okay, so Pilar, for example. Pilar is new, right? Pilar. Let's do that. Pilar, sign up. Pilar signed up successfully. Go back to the backend. Pilar is here. That's good news. Now let's come back again and sign up. Same person, same Pilar. Let's see now if it works perfectly without any problem. So now it's supposed to at least tell us no because the username exists. So it's working good. However, what was happening was if I try to sign up Pilar now with a password that already exists. So let's go comfort, for example. Let's go back here. Where is it again? There. So comfort is already existing, right? Someone has this password. You see, it says username. Okay, let's change username. Let's do 23. That doesn't exist. You see what is happening is that it's actually signing up for us someone with a different username. So the usernames are unique, which is fine in a database. You can have one primary key. That's okay. If you go and look at databases, you just need a primary key. You just need one thing there unique. However, I don't particularly like someone, and I think in any website, it's not a good idea to have a password similar to someone else. So how we fix that, the only problem we're having now is password, is we can come back here and we can do back to this part. Either you do it this way. You can put it as another if, okay? Another if statement. What does that mean? And I'll explain it to you in a few minutes. I'm not putting an elif. If you guys know, in Python, we have elif. Elif means that I'm saying to the computer that either it will run this one or it will run this one. And in our case, we don't want it to run either of them. We want both of them to run. We want the checks for both. So we're checking passwords separately. So in this case, password would already exist. That means it shouldn't allow them to sign up anything if they have the username existing and the password existing. Now, if you're wondering why it didn't work when we put them all together in one, it's just sometimes it doesn't work that way. And the way we did it I think we need to do it slightly different because I needed to put the key there. So I'll talk about that a little bit later, but let's try it now. So this means password shouldn't also be signed up. So let's go back and do a last test because I think we've passed the time we need to end, right? I think so. I hope, because I'm going to do the last test, okay, guys? And then we need to end. I'll come back for questions. So come back here and then just run your turtle again. Remember that the username is working. The only thing that we need to confirm now is password. So go here. Okay, let's say we had a different username, Nolan or something. And then the password, let's put something that exists, right? So Pilar or something, whatever password. And then we'll try signing up both together. So Pilar. If we click sign up, you see password already exists. No, doesn't let me, right? Doesn't let me, because if you go back, nothing's signed up. Okay, then let's try putting a different password and username now, Nolan. Let's see. So click sign up, and it signed me up successfully. When I go back, Nolan is here. So it's working good. Now, what should we do? I actually ran out of what I was saying. So I think we need to try if the username is the same, right, that exists, and then the password's different. Let's try that. Let's see if the username is existing. So there is someone called Pilar there, right? There's someone here called Pilar. It's not supposed to work. And let's go do a different password. Let's say XXX. Click sign up. Okay, no, username exists. Okay, we have a problem. It says you have signed up successfully. So even though it's not here, we still need to rectify this slight problem. And we will do this, I think, next time because I need to wrap up. It's a small slight issue. We just need to break it off when it says username already exists. Then we need to put a return. This could solve the problem. So you can actually try this. And then here we could actually put return. Return means that it shouldn't do anything else. It shouldn't let's actually do a little quick try before we go. It shouldn't let you go to the next thing. You can actually do a break too to stop it from going to the next thing. And there are many ways we can do it. It's a quick, easy fix, but let's try it for the last time. So remember what was the problem now was if we try to put a username that exists, Pilar, a password that does not exist, something like that, sign up, username exists, okay. And that worked. See, return fixed the problem. Now let's do the last thing where both do not exist. And that's it, fix the problem. Now, I don't want to keep trying. I think I'll stop because if I keep going, it's going to be like I always want to try and try. But anyways, it all works. And what fixed the problem is return. So I want to stop here, guys, because if we keep trying, we'll just go all the way. But it all works. So at this point, you guys can set up your signups. You guys saw what I did, right? And just make sure that your buttons are in the right place. This is not fixed properly. And that's it for now, guys. We need to wrap up. I'll come back to the classroom if there's any questions. I will adjust my button later on, so you just make sure you're doing that. Okay, let's get back to the classroom. Guys, any questions before we go? We're going to be ending for now. No questions? You guys all got it? Okay. Danny, Alexine, I think how many of you here? Give me a moment, guys. Let me just check the attendance again. Chisom, hi, I see you. Welcome. Okay, welcome to everyone. Welcome Tima, Ringo, Ringo, and Shamyu. I'm gonna, sorry, be pronouncing a little bit wrong. Hafsa, sorry about that. I need to learn. But welcome everybody, okay? There's only 13 or 21 of us here, so I'm gonna put that in attendance again this week. So if there's no questions, remember what the homework is. You need to sign up. Yes, you need to go. Yes, Danny is saying something good. Go over it again with the lesson video and try it with remember the website I told you guys, W3 Schools. Use that website. If you have any questions, you can ask Mrs. Kila, Mrs. Kumo, and they will answer your questions as well. Someone is asking Lemsa. Go ahead. I'm listening to you. Your hand is up. Are you asking? Because I don't want to keep people in the classroom. I mean, if you're asking, can you go ahead so that we don't stay longer? I'm not sure. Do you guys have a problem asking questions or something? Is the audio blocked or something like that? No? Okay. Well, guys, I don't want to, Lemsa, if you have any questions, you can stay behind. The rest of you guys have a great evening, and I'll see you guys next time. Don't forget your homework, and let us know if you have any questions. Take care, everybody. See you soon. And Lemsa, if you have any questions, you can stay behind, of course. If no, okay. Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you so much for the class. Sorry, my camera was off for a while.
Oh, hi.
I had to put my phone on charge. So I was just
Okay,
watching.
sorry. Sorry, I locked
Okay,
them out because I didn't know you. I knew you were there, but I forgot to say that Ms. Kuma will wrap you up. Yes, Mrs. Kuma, go
yes,
ahead.
yes. Okay, please you guys to make sure you people do the tax time as Alicia sent. And if you are, as she said, if you have any problem, you should always ask in the group. And I saw her trying to do the password stuff, like trying to do the different try and error. I think it's good that you can take up on yourself to test the different scenarios and see how you can correct them. So it's going to help you to better understand. And thank you guys for the session and courage. We're already in the third week, so I left with 2 more sessions, right?
Yes,
So
there's 2
have a
more
wonderful
sessions.
night.
Sorry. Yeah,
Okay, have a
2 more.
wonderful night. Bye, everybody.
All right, thanks, guys. The grades, I'll talk about grades and awards at the end. I don't want to keep anyone because many people have gone, but I'll talk about that grades, awards, and internships with our company. And we'll talk as Ms. Kumo, Mr. Kila will also let you guys know. We'll let you know in the next sessions. Take care. Have a good night. Bye-bye, everybody. Take care. See you soon.